She collapsed mid-laugh. 1 second my daughter was teasing her brother over ice cream. The next she was gasping, her body folding like a puppet whose strings had been cut. The sound that escaped her lips still haunts me. Fragile, wet, human. The hospital lights were too bright, too sterile for what I was feeling. My wife clung to my arm as if holding me together would keep her from falling apart. Machines beeped. Nurses rushed. Words like dehydration, possible seizure, neurological response floated in the sterile air. But nothing hit me harder than the notification that buzzed on my phone an hour later. A Facebook post from my mother-in-law and my sister. A photo of them clinking wine glasses. Caption, finally having peace without the pathetic drama queen. P.S. They knew. They knew she was in the hospital. My daughter, 12 years old. And they laughed. I didn't shout, didn't even show my wife. I just stared at that caption until the words stopped meaning anything. Until all I saw were shapes of cruelty dressed as humor. That's when something in me went quiet. An eerie, methodical kind of quiet. I met my wife 12 years ago in a rainstorm outside her mother's bakery. She had flour on her cheek and lightning in her smile. Her mother Margaret was warmth wrapped in politeness. The kind of woman who smiled while measuring everyone's worth in silence. My sister Nadia adored her. She's what you need, she used to say. Someone to soften you. For a while she did. But softness makes you an easy target when people like control more than kindness. It started with small comments that disguised cruelty as concern. She's dramatic. He's distant. They don't know how to raise kids. And then the subtle isolations. The way they'd rearrange gatherings so we couldn't attend. Whisper advice to my wife when I wasn't around. It didn't matter. I loved her. I loved us until their poison started working. It was around the time my daughter began having fainting spells. Stress, the doctor said. But stress doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's fed, cultivated. I checked her messages once after the hospital night. My wife had left her phone on the seat. The chat between her and her mother was open. Margaret, you know this is because of his cold parenting, right? Poor girl just wants affection. My wife, he's trying. Mom, please stop making it worse. Margaret, I'm not making it worse. I'm showing you reality. Reality. The word stuck. Because the truth was, I've been watching them twist our family's pain into entertainment for years. And when they mocked my daughter's collapse, the line was crossed. Not emotionally, strategically. That night, while my wife slept in the hospital chair, I began collecting screenshots, messages, transaction logs, little breadcrumbs of deceit. I discovered my sister had been borrowing money from Margaret for months for emergencies, she said. But her emergencies looked suspiciously like luxury handbags and weekend getaways. I traced one transaction back to a business account under my daughter's name. That account had been set up by my sister using a joint email with my mother-in-law's phone number for verification. They'd been funneling money through my child's name to avoid taxes. Family emotion is loud. Revenge is quiet. I spent the next 6 weeks restructuring the silence. Every smile I gave them, every family dinner I attended, every, thank you, Margaret, was rehearsed, calculated. I transferred the screenshots, bank statements, and messages to an encrypted drive labeled innocuously as, family photos. Then I drafted 2 letters, one addressed to the Tax Investigation Bureau, the other to the Homeowners Association. Margaret's property title, as it turned out, had discrepancies that made her vulnerable. I didn't forge anything. I simply revealed what already existed. That's the thing about the truth. It doesn't need makeup. While they laughed online, I built a paper trail offline. And then came the final piece, the one that made me smile. When they returned from their peaceful weekend, they found my car in their driveway. I was sitting at their kitchen table, the same one where I'd eaten countless forced dinners, where they'd smiled and sliced me open with compliments. On the table lay a single folder neatly labeled. Their laughter froze when they saw the heading, Financial Discrepancies and Evidence of Fraud Pending Submission. Margaret's face drained of color. Nadia stammered. "You wouldn't." I didn't speak. I just turned the folder slightly so they could see the printed screenshots. Her messages about my drama queen daughter beside the bank statements in my child's name. Then I placed a small USB on top of the folder. "Keep it," I said. "Souvenir." They started shouting accusations, justifications, desperate pleas for control. I didn't respond. I stood, buttoned my coat, and walked to the door. Before I left, I said, "Peace, right? You wanted peace. Consider it delivered." And then I sent the emails to the authorities, to my wife, to everyone they'd ever gossiped with. Their world didn't explode. It imploded quietly, legally, irreversibly. My wife cried when she saw the evidence. Not for them, for the years she spent defending their cruelty. She apologized through trembling lips. I didn't need her to. I only needed her to see. Margaret's accounts were frozen within a week. Nadia lost her job. Their laughter stopped echoing online. And my daughter, she recovered slowly. She doesn't know what happened behind the curtain. She only knows we're safe now. Sometimes I sit by her hospital photo, the one where she's pale but smiling, and think about how close I came to losing her. How silence, once a weapon used against me, became the weapon I mastered. Revenge wasn't rage. It was restoration. And the kitchen table, they sold it months later to pay legal fees. But I like to think of it as mine still because that's where justice sat down, folded her hands, and finally ate.